is to show some solutions that are available to customers. With Grand & Toy, we have partnerships with a lot of vendors, as you can imagine. We go to those partners looking for things that we think might be helpful to partners like the EPS group. Now, these things may or may not be relevant to you. I think we would consider our job done if customers know about the solutions. So, you know, we understand that that the facilities within the EPS group have challenges with air quality. I can only imagine. So there's outbreaks, there's COVID, and then now we have outside air quality to worry about as well. So that's the topic of the solution that the Fellows team is going to talk about. Just for everybody's information, Fellows Manufacturing is one of our key partners at Grand & Toy. They have been manufacturing since 1917. They actually invented the banker's box. Who's not lifted a banker's box? So since 1917, which is about a year after I started with Grand & Toy, they specialize in office equipment, safety products, etc. So, and then just for everybody's information, Colin Coote is on the Grand & Toy team. He is our facility specialist. And Yvonne Lai from Fellows, and Joel Burton is here from Fellows as well. I can, just to be helpful, I'll moderate the chat. We have time for questions, and then if there are specifics about locations that somebody has questions about, we can always take that offline. Does that sound okay to everybody? Okay,
sounds great.
Super. I will turn it over to Yvonne from here.
Well, thanks for our intro. That was one of my slides.
Oh, was it? There we go.
Did you read my mind? Thank you for joining. I'm just gonna share my screen. Give me 1 second. Yay! Yay! Success! There we go. So as Jeff had alluded, we're going to be talking about air quality, and then some terms that you might need to kind of understand when you are looking into air purification. And then we thought of some areas that you probably would be concerned, like to look at within the spaces of the homes that you are working with. And then I'll just give you a really high level overview of our full line of air purifier products that we do offer. So here's our full support. So Joel, myself, and Eve. Eve looks after Montreal, Quebec East, and I look after Ontario and West. And Joel does everything. No, I'm just kidding. So we have national support for you guys. So obviously, my friend Jeff stole my thunder. So yes, we are 100 years old, 4th generation leadership, known for bankers, boxes, and shredders. So we've been in the air purifier, in the business of air purifier over 12 years. We've introduced the Air Pro line since 2013. It's a commercial unit. I'll touch on it later on in other slides, but it has been great for larger spaces like schools, hospitals, long-term care, restaurants, and as such. And you can see that we've been involving our product lines, and working with how the world has been evolving. We've been coming up with newer products to kind of adapt and evolve with the rest of the world. So as you can see, we'll talk with outdoor air right now. So obviously air pollution is an issue, and you can see it causes many health issues like asthma or folks with respiratory issues. So obviously wildfires aren't going away. This seems to be a yearly occurrence. So when outdoor air is poor, we really, really need to look into what's going on inside the air, inside indoor air quality. Like for BC, like I was reading something last week, like BC school the school trip was stranded, the busload of kids, they couldn't make it home because they had to spend a night at a high school because during a class trip, because there was flames raging on the highway. So they didn't even get home, right? So like there's a lot of stuff that's happening outdoors, and plus also too, I was looking at other news too from as of yesterday afternoon, I believe. They said that they reported 446 active fires right now, and 217 are out of control. That's a pretty kind of scary to even think about that. And there's so basically it breaks it down to 127 fires in Quebec, 83 in Alberta, 70 in BC, and 56 in Ontario as of yesterday. So we really should think about what's going on inside our the air that we are breathing. Did it turn? No. So obviously wildfires, you can see here, the high risk groups, it's no, obviously we all know seniors would be #1 on the list, but with heavy smoke conditions, if you are close to wildfire, it's everyone's basically at risk, whether you're elderly or have any health issues, everyone's at risk. So the tips basically, this was all taken off of Health Canada. So the tips are basically to get an air cleaner, HEPA air cleaner, limit your outdoor time, stay hydrated, and if you are working outside, it would be best to basically get a N95 fitted mask. So with indoor air, with all the climate changes, it impacts air quality and human health. It worsens the health impacts from ozone to wildfires. So there's allergies and asthma again. You can see here, we take indoor air quality for granted, because when you walk into a mall, a school, or hospital, we just figure someone's taking care of it, and we just walk in and we don't even think twice about it. When you consider that we sit 90% of the time indoor, and there are more pollutants indoor than outdoors. But then when there's wildfires going on, indoor air quality really matters. And we should really be thinking of all these, because you can see like there's 1 in 10 Canadians that have asthma, and 1 in 6 suffers from allergies. These are pretty, like, it's almost like every other person has some sort of issues. So with absenteeism, so what happens in your environment if someone decides, maybe your personal care or your nursing staff calls in sick today? It must be a race to find someone that's suitable to take on this impromptu shift. And then how quickly can you get that person back into play? Or maybe then all of a sudden your productivity, you have one less body on the floor helping out with the rest of the staff in the home, right? So you can see here it's a $16.8 billion loss of basically $1 billion worth of productivity loss due to sick days. That's a huge number. 11.6 lost days, and it's just and a lot of folks are basically, a lot of it is poor indoor air quality. That's basically with bacteria, viruses, and germs that are just floating in the air, and people are just getting ill from it. They don't even think of it. They just think it's surface cleaning, and surface cleaning is just not enough. And you have to realize too, with the surface cleaning, there are VOCs, and those VOCs are harmful to breathe in with long periods of time as well. So this is just a chart of 2 rooms, how viruses spread. So we know that coughing, when we cough, droplets are flying 3 to 6 feet. When we sneeze, it's 10 to 27 feet. And then when the HVAC is on, and it just happens to be on at the time that someone sneezed, it would have picked it up, and it has a potential to spread that germs or viruses 100 feet, like 150 feet plus. So that's how an outbreak would start. You can see here, like the lady sitting here, she might have sneezed, HVAC picked it up, it goes into the return. Maybe it might have went through a couple of filters, but maybe not all of them, and the filters are not maybe not have picked up the virus, and then all of a sudden it goes back into the supply and into another room 100 feet away, or rooms. And then these occupants in the second room, basically, not knowingly, someone in another room got them sick, right? And with an and if you had an air purifier in this room room A, I would call it, if you had an H13, which is the highest grade of HEPA filtration, it's medical grade, it will capture these particles, these 0.1 micron particles, which I'll touch on the sizing of particles later on. But at the 0.1 particles, these are 99.95% capture rate, right? And these are the stuff that will stop the spread of harmful particles from going into an HVAC, which will spread it across to how many other rooms. Any questions so far? We're good. So again, so 90% of our times are indoor air, and 9 of those hours are in shared spaces, right? So how many, like, even before COVID, we were all in the office, right? Like a lot of us were, well, maybe not me, but because I'm an outside rep, but a lot of folks were inside in an office environment. You're sitting there all day long. And how often do you go into a meeting and you all of a sudden kind of like, or training sessions that are long, and maybe by after lunch or midday, you start getting headaches and stuff like that? It's because there was no outdoor air quality coming into that space, and you're now getting headaches and you're feeling tired. So getting an air purifier would help with that. So it'll help with future outbreaks, reduces bacteria, molds, and viruses, removes allergen and asthma triggers, and then of course odors and gases. Negative, you will always remember a place that you've gone when you've had a negative odor, and you probably will never return back to that spot. So getting an air purifier, it would have cleaned out those odors and making it more pleasant for your visitors to come to your home or to the long-term care facilities. And then of course there's pollution, smoke, and VOCs, and of course wildfires under the VOCs, which can cause irritation and inflammation in your lungs, giving you like the asthma and the short of breath and stuff like that. So selecting air purifiers. So we thought that we'll play this video. This video is more, they're more education focused, but it does a really good job on touching on points of some of the terms that you'll run into when you are looking into air purification, and how, just basically a very high level of how air purifiers work. So here are the areas that we thought that an air purifier would work well in, like in a dining room, living room spaces for like the residents, activity rooms that they share, restrooms, of course, to remove odors, and then maybe there's a salon or spa on site that can help with that as well. And then staff, of course, don't forget your staff. You want to help them at least reduce the absenteeism within your space. So here are the high level terms. So you'll notice when you start looking into or doing research on air quality, you'll see the short term verb IAQ, that's indoor air quality. And then you'll see HEPA, high efficiency particle air. And then you'll see like the MERD and then the KDAR. KDAR is important to understand as well, because this basically determines how efficient the machine is. So if you see, but the better the unit, the overall, like the clean air, indoor air quality. So for example, if the air purifier has a KDAR reading of 388 for smoke particles, it will reduce the smoke particle levels in a concentration to achieve by adding 380 cubic feet of 100% of air, clean air per minute. So basically it's the wildfire air, like AHEM recommends a smoke KDAR to equal the size of the room. So basically it'll just clear it out like all at once, basically. The higher the rate, the better. And it's in conjunction with air changes per hour. Air changes per hour, so that's ACH. It's the number of times that the air volume in a room can completely remove and replace in an hour. So the higher the rate that you are able to get to, which is on the next slide, which is like 6, you would, that determines how quickly your air gets cleaned out. Oops, this is not turning for me. There we go. So these are the sizes of the, you can see here, there's a human hair at 100 microns, pollen is at 30, bacteria is 0.3, and then smoke microns at 0.1. When they get that small, when we get to the 0.1s and all these stuff, those are the stuff that gets stuck into our lungs. And when it does get stuck into our lungs, that's how we end up getting sick. We'll get the shortness of breath, or the coughing fits and stuff, and then stuff like that. You can see here, like even the wildfire smoke contains very small particles, travels into your lungs and causing irritation. And then as the air improves, that's when you start breathing a little bit better. But most of the bacteria and the bacteria and viruses reside in these smaller particle sizes. So I touched on the air changes per hour. So ACH is the airflow. It's the power and performance of an air purifier. Some competitors and other units in the market, some do not provide you with air changes per hour, but I think there are some manufacturers do have a chat box. You probably have to ask them, because it may not be published in their manuals, because we've looked into some of these other ones when I had to look into stuff. Sometimes it's not very clear of what their air changes per hour is, but it is good to at least look into it and try to ask the manufacturer for that number, because that will help you figure out if that's the best unit for your space. So here's the air changes per hour that we were talking about. So if you increase your ventilation rate, increase your filter efficient, then you'll end up getting here. So our machines, all of our machines, actually, we can add 3 to 5 air changes per hour, and typically HVAC is at 1 to 2. So when you do the math, you are getting to the 6. So 6 is the ideal changes per hour that you should have in your room to help at least get rid of whatever is in the contamination within the room. I know this is a busy slide. These are just the various technologies within the market of air purification. You see the HEPA, you see the carbon, the bipolar ionization, the oxidation, UVC, and electrostatic stuff. I'm not going to go through it all because I know it's overwhelming. But our machines, we've chosen to stick with the HEPA, True HEPA and H13, and the carbon filter. We thought that was the best solution for our AirMax and AirMax Pro. Basically all our machines have this. So before I start, do we have any questions? Anything? Nope. Okay. So I'll run through from our consumer solutions right to our commercial, and then to our new innovative air purification system. I'll touch on that as well. So our consumer line, these devices improve air quality in homes and offices by capturing airborne particles such as dust, pollen, mold spores, viruses, and bacteria. If you do purchase them for your house, they will pick up pet dander. So these are great. So you can see it's 100, like you can see the it's black and white, 100 to basically 100 square footage, all the way to 500 square footage within the space. So you can put one of these in a basement, home office, in your bedroom, and then or private offices. These are great. Or even in your residence bedrooms, you can put one of these in those as well. And then we have 14 active SKUs in our commercial line. They're either wall mount or stands, or with plugs or hardwire. And then we have our new one. This is a big one. It's 2 of these back to back on casters for just bigger rooms and for mobility. For folks that maybe you're having some sort of event in the homes, and you can roll it in, and then when the event's done, you can roll it back out. or you can leave it there, or you have a gymnasium of some sort. This would be great for it, like choir practices or stuff like that. All our machines have EnviroSmart, which is a technology where we have sensors in all our machines, and it basically measures sound, motion, odor, and PM 2.5. So it continually monitors the room, and it'll automatically respond what's going on. So when you walk into the room, the machine will basically light up right away, and it'll start to respond. So if it's picked up an odor, maybe you had cologne on that day, it would have picked up the cologne. Or if someone coughed or sneezed, it would have picked something up, and it will just clean. You'll see the machine turn yellow or red. And then when you leave the room, within 20 minutes, it goes into sleep mode. It powers down to standby mode. So there's like 4, and I will speak on it in the next slide, but there are 4 stages of filtration, but they are, so once everyone's out of the room, 20 minutes, it powers down. So you're not really killing your energy. It's very, very simple to use and integrates into your space perfectly. So depending on how you want to use the air purifier within your space and what your goals are. So like, as I alluded to, there's a 4-stage filtration. There's a pre-filter, picks up the bigger stuff. This is our carbon that has our, it's made out of coconut shells. It picks up all odors. And then the H13 is where the magic happens. So this is the H13, again, is the highest tier of filtration, HEPA filtration, and it picks up 0.1 micron at 99.95%. So it will pick up the dust, it will pick up the pollen, it'll pick up all the other allergens, bacteria, viruses, stuff that gets stuck in our lungs, like I mentioned, and at 99.95, this is where the magic happens. And then we do have an ionizer in these series, which can be turned on or off. We do have certification on the next slide. I will show you. We have our certification. On the ionizer, we do have a certification here, the UL 2998, which is basically stating that we do not produce any ozone back in the environment. So if you need any of these certifications, we'll be more than happy to send it over. So we're certified to remove COVID, certified to remove H1N1, which is the flu. And then we have the certification for all our machines for the H13 HEPA filtration, which is medical grade. And we're always looking to upgrade, get new testing done, and make sure that we have everything in up to date and stuff like that. And here's our newest line of fellows, our new air purification. This is our new line. It's a monitoring system with, so basically, I just lost the train of thought for a second, but it's our new line of air purification. So it works in tandem with all the machines talk. They remediate contaminants in the air more efficiently. So there's 3 things to remember about this series of our line of air purifiers. We measure, we monitor, and we mitigate. So the basic idea of this series is that we have sensors to measure the air quality in different rooms and remediate as quickly as possible. The best part of the whole system, they're scalable. So it's depending on your budget and whatever and how you want to use it, you can mix and match all these items, and they will talk and they will work in unison together. And then this little laptop thing, what we call is our viewpoint. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it does give you an idea of what's going on within your space. It will measure your space. It will give you an output of what's going on indoor. And it'll tell you which room maybe had contaminations. Maybe there was a lot more people in one room at 2 p.m. and maybe you can set those machines off to clear out that machine faster before folks go in, and when folks leave, you can turn it back on. There's a lot of other functionalities to this product line. We just basically, it's the same, like we still have the same technology, the same filters, like the pre-filters, the HEPA, as well as the carbon. So we've taken all those technologies, kept the best part of it, and now we've added the monitoring. Monitoring is a very huge business. It's basically projected to be at $6.1 billion, and we thought this would be the greatest thing for air purification if you were able to monitor and measure it and basically mitigate what is going on within the space right away. Did anyone have any questions? Sorry. Nothing?
It might be worth asking, like for some of the folks that that we see here that we don't usually see at our webinars that made the time to come. Pat, Peter, Cheryl, are we answering some of the things that you were hoping to get out of this? And maybe it's worth just kind of asking the customers if there's anything specific that they might have been looking for, and if we're on the right track.
I think from my standpoint, it would help if maybe see some, links to videos later on to help me better understand how a system like this would work and how it would integrate it into our facilities. But I don't have any questions. It'll be more, I need to maybe do a bit of a deeper dive myself with my lens and take a look around. That's my perspective on all of it.
Super.
Great information. Great information. I just need to digest it a little bit more. That's all.
Yvonne, I know from my perspective, one of the things that jumped out at me was with the array and the monitoring of family members being able to maybe check in on the networking to see what the air quality was like. I don't know if you're planning on jumping on that later, but I think
you want me to, did you want, I can show you the viewpoint if you like. So if you did go with the array unit, so here is how the viewpoint would look like. Can you see that? You can see this, right?
Yep.
Okay,
so that's your head office, right? Yeah.
So this is our head office, and then we have another our showroom. So you can see these are in Chicago. I'm in Toronto. So if you are in a facilities manager and maybe you manage 5 locations, and you can't be at all locations, obviously. And if you were to go ahead with our Fellows Array unit, you can basically go on the dashboard and you can see which machines need which machines need any attention, what's going on during the day. You can see it's going by, and there's historical. You can do the last 7 days, 24 hours. What's going on? Is it fair, poor? Is it good air, bad air? And then you can go to the areas as well. You can pick the areas, like say, I'll just do the Fulton because they have more here. So you can see, you can label all your rooms, and then you basically get an output of what's going on within each of the spaces. So you can see how, you can see like, oh, look, this is pretty good air. No one's really been in here. This is great. Or maybe, and then the devices, you can even look at the devices as well. You can see here, filter. Who's ready for any type of changes of filters? And then if there was machine offline, as you can see here, this one's offline. Maybe you can go and tell that person, that one of your coworkers that work in maybe the 3rd building, and tell them like, hey, how come this machine is off? Did someone turn it off by accident? And then you technically don't have to be there. Maybe that person can just turn on the machine and you'll see it go back live, and then you'll be able to get all the readings again. It's pretty intuitive because you can just pick that space and you can see right filter, left filter, how much filter is left. So you don't have to worry about that.
Is there a way that you can compare like what's going on inside your facility to what's going on outside. Like, does it make sense to set something up outside and then you show like the air quality outside is this and this is what it looks like inside my building? I don't know. Is that a crazy question or?
Joel, we don't do the outside. We only do the indoor, right?
Right. I was
Right.
just wondering if there was
Yes.
a baseline kind of thing, like a comparison. Because to me, yeah, it's nice to see that the inside of my building's going okay, but nice to, I like to compare to what is actually happening outside the building as well too.
Yeah, we don't have anything that monitors the air on the outside, but
Okay.
we'll just to provide a little bit more detail. Since the wildfires have occurred, we have been in office buildings. We've been taking readings,
Right.
and it's anywhere between 15 and 20 times worse than a regular air reading that we've been getting.
Right.
So, and that's in Toronto. We've done some in Toronto where we had some, obviously some wildfire smoke here. And we also took some readings in Calgary in the downtown location, where a typical reading that we would get would be somewhere between, maybe somewhere between a 3 and a 5 parts per million. And we were getting 380 parts per million, which is, when we look at that comparison, that is very poor air quality. And so that's really what we've been seeing since the wildfires have been an issue here in Canada. And everything, since the wildfires have been occurring, I've been doing a little bit more reading on it, especially this year. It seems to be a national issue. Wildfires aren't going anywhere. So it's not as though this is a one-time solution fix for an air quality management system. This really is, you're going to need this every year for, elderly, school, education, office buildings. The air quality in buildings, it's obviously worse outside, but the air quality in internal facilities is really getting bad. And HVAC is really truly designed to push hot and cold air around a building. Yes, you can upgrade your HVAC system with HEPA filtration and have filters around your HVAC system. But what really needs to happen is, it might go into an air intake, but the filter that you've installed might be 300 feet away from where the air may not even pass through that particular filter that you've upgraded before it transitions into another room. And so the localized air treatment is, we're not looking to replace HVAC. We never will. It is not what this product is intended to do. This product really is intended to enhance your air quality management system within your building. And, for those people that maybe suffer from, asthma or have some sort of respiratory illness, a localized air solution really can help those folks breathe better while they're in your facility. That's, whether they're in a joint room, or whether they're in whether it's a retirement facility, a couple living together. If someone does have a respiratory illness, this really will help them breathe easy while they're in your facility.
Huh?
Hi.
Hi.
I just have a question for the product. So these are basically for rooms small and large. Where I'm looking for is like, is there anything that we have filters already on our HVAC units and stuff? So I'm just wondering if there's something on a little bigger scale that we could maybe use. Is there something like that, or is this more for like with lounges and rooms and stuff like that? You know what I'm saying?
How big an area are you talking about, Pat? Are you talking
rooftop unit will cover an area zone or a larger area than a single room.
Yeah, so our units can do the same, depending on obviously if it's a larger open space, it can certainly it can cover anywhere, essentially, depending on the number of air exchanges. So that really is important as well, is the number of air exchanges you're looking for. So that will depend on what unit we would recommend. But essentially, we have units that do 100 square feet to 2,300 square feet.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're looking at. There's obviously multiple units can obviously still be installed as well. I mean, it's not necessarily one that will fit
entire,
right, an entire building. Maybe you want it in the I don't know, in a change room or in a bathroom or those types of rooms where people are sharing facilities. But so we do have that ability. And the thing with the Array product as well is you can build zones, for example. So within your building, you could build a zone that has maybe 3 air purifier units in it, and they all talk to each other. And so if one unit senses a contaminant in the air and ramps up its the fan speed to quickly eliminate it, it will actually communicate with the other 2 units and go, hey, I'm detecting something over here. The other 2 guys will then turn on as well and really start to kick up the air exchanges in that particular room. Does that make sense?
Because I just think on a cost effectiveness kind of thing, right? I'm sure each unit, as we start covering, depending on what kind of coverage you need, it could get quite costly, especially if you have a large facility. So that's where I was going with this, where if it's something integrated with our HVAC units, right?
Oh no, yeah. Ours is to complement. We would never replace. We would never replace the HVAC. I have a video on Array.
Work with the HVAC.
Yeah, it'll work with it. Yeah.
Something that struck me, just because my parents are at that age where we're looking at maybe getting a home soon. There was an example given for one of the school boards in the States that they were giving that remote access to parents that might be concerned about their children and the air quality in the schools, where for me, I know as a family member, if that option was available for the home that my parents were going to be going to, that like, oh, there's a wildfire or there's an outbreak, I can go online and check to see what the air quality is. I think that would be amazing.
So there were a couple of a couple of school districts. The one that Colin's referring to was in the Boston area. The entire school district installed air purification monitoring system that allowed them to actually share what air quality was like in each individual classroom. And so parents could go on the site, take a look at what the air quality index was for their son or daughter's classroom, and they could say, yeah, you know what, the air quality is great. And so they shared that and that was in particular with COVID. It would be probably important for parents for wildfire or for kids like Colin with wildfire season. You could monitor the air quality in your parents' room in British Columbia while living in Toronto.
Yeah.
So it really is quite powerful from a perception standpoint as well.
I just had a comment, if I may, like just to Peter's question about the air quality outside. It's measured by the municipalities as well. So it looks like a lot of that information is public. So I'm just looking at a site called IQ Air, and right now for Port Moody, it's got the concentrations and all of the measurements right there. So I think it's just because it's done publicly, you can just look it up and do comparisons that way.
Environment Canada or the Weather Channel also have air quality statements put out, and their substations are monitored every hour. And you can use them as needed.
One of the other features that I think is important to note is that lots of air purifiers generally sit on the floor. They sit in the way. We have options like that for sure, but we are providing an integrated solution. So we have units that hang from the ceiling. We have units that have the ability to fit into ceiling tiles, so a 2x2 or a 2x4 ceiling tile. We have wall mountable units, which can get up and out of the way off the floor, things like tripping hazards. Wires that are run along the floor, I would imagine would be concerned in retirement facilities or long-term care facilities. So there's not everyone provides that solution, but we do provide an integrated solution where these products can be up out of the way, not a tripping hazard, not a theft hazard either, because they're actually installed on the wall or in the ceiling. So, so yeah, we're one of very few manufacturers that have that ability. And is there any other questions?
I can show you pictures of it if you like. Because I know we didn't really go into too deep into the presentation for it, so I can show you.
Is air quality something that comes up a lot with your customers, like with the people staying on site, in your facilities? Is it an issue, or is it something that generally isn't talked about, or people may not be aware that there's a solution out there?
I think generally it's discussed, but it's not a major complaint.
Okay.
Food seems to be, number one, and cleanliness and things like that.
Well, we can't help with that.
No. But I mean, with that being said, like when you walk into a facility, it's easy to tell one that has good air quality and one that doesn't.
Yes.
It's very easy to tell.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, when you walk in, because right before my dad passed, the long-term care that my dad was going into, I think they just at that time they just received their units, and they only put into one area, and you can tell the difference from one side of that room and then when we went to the opposite side, it was night and day.
And it's one thing for residents, it's a whole other thing focused for the employees working there too.
Yes.
The team needs to feel like they're being taken care of as well.
So here are some of the screenshots of how it would be
integrated.
Yeah. So because we didn't know how deep we needed to go in. So you can see these are ceiling, black and white. And
so you need to get up on a ladder.
Yes.
Some of these filters.
And then these are the ceiling ones.
Yeah. I mean, that's when it's on the floor, it's easy to change, but when you start sticking it on a wall and a ceiling, then they're a little harder, challenging to change. But I totally get it.
Yeah, and then there's these ones, and then this is UV. This is our UV one. And those are the screenshots of those guys.
Cool.
So I think that's all that we have, Jeff. I'm not sure if there's. I think we have a lot more. To be honest with you, we have a lot more information. We really went. We really went sort of on a high level, high generic level for air treatment, just to give you a flavor for what it can and can't do. One of the things that I was just going to touch on was that, all rooms and facilities aren't created equal. I'm sure you have some rooms that maybe are very similar to what for example, an HVAC system. I know in my house, I've got a room that's always cold in the winter and always hot in the summer. The ventilation isn't always the same in every room. Some, don't have windows, some need more, and that's part of what a localized air purification unit can do for you, is get to those rooms and make them more comfortable to be in, as opposed to not comfortable. I've been in several hospitals that had certain bathrooms that have no ventilation whatsoever in it. It's just dead air in there. And so those have been perfect installs that we've done, because they typically get lots of complaints. So that's just something else to think about, that all rooms are not created equal. And not only that, but not all residents are created equal either. There's lots of residents that are different. Some have no respiratory issues and can easily, go about breathing, no issue. But there are lots that have lots of respiratory challenges, and these would go a long way in helping them.
Awesome. Well, great information, Yvonne, and